Welcome back to the In Her Mind podcast. I am thrilled that you're here and tuning in for this special episode aptly titled My Turn. This week, I'm taking a step back to collaborate with you on a shared vision for the podcast future and to provide more background about me, Brittany Lachelle, the creator and central voice of this podcast. For those who have only known me for the past decade, you might be curious about my new moniker. So, Lachelle is actually my middle name given to me at birth. So, it's now 4 years after my divorce, and I'm contemplating how I want to be perceived in the world. So, as I transition away from my married name, I'm adopting my middle name as a temporary placeholder after Brittany. So, it's Brittany Lachelle. I'm using this my public social channels until I finalize my decision about what my future name will be. But as a chronic overthinker, life has taught me that sometimes less is indeed more. So we're just going to stick with two names instead of three right now for our purposes. But now back to our podcast. So after listening to my last episode, my father, he offered some valuable advice to me. He suggested that I dedicate some time to clearly articulating my objectives for this podcast. So that's something that I want to spend some time doing today. And one of the things that he specifically, kind of asked me was, what do I hope to achieve with this venture and why does it even matter? Like what's pushing this? And if you've been with me since now or never, then you'll recall that I touched upon this aspect in our opening segment. And so I'm not going to kind of redo that piece because I spoke of the impact that I aspire to make and my why. But now I want to focus on the how. Like, how are we going to accomplish all of that? Because it was a really big, lofty goal that I put ahead of things. So I want to dig into that a little bit. But first and foremost, starting off, my primary objective, the big thing I hope to do here is to really inspire transformation by reminding each of us that we possess this inherent potential to fulfill our life's dreams within ourselves. So, that saying, everything you need is already within you. But I believe that. And I think each of us should believe that about ourselves. And my goal is to provide the tools, resources, guidance, and hope, because it's an important part of the recipe. I want to provide hope as well to assist individuals in persevering through challenging times or when the path ahead remains uncertain. My objective is to celebrate the achievements of my fellow women. Yes, women. This is a female driven podcast. We care about the fellows, but this is the voice of a woman. More women will be invited to this podcast to speak as well. And our voices collectively are going to be heard. So we're here for you, fellas. We're speaking to you too. But this is a female driven project. My objective is also to reclaim space, and this part is for everybody, for those who have been overlooked, unseen, or unrecognized. Because right now, it's my turn. It's my turn, but it's also our turn. And that's a big part of the message today. We often perceive things, though, especially goals, when we use big words like objectives as well, it gets serious. And we start trying to apply this methodology here where we have a clear beginning, middle, and an end. However, with life projects like this one, I don't believe that that's something that we can apply the same linear manner to this methodology where we have that beginning, middle, and an end. Because when we start thinking about projects like this one, we're talking about shifting mindsets and undergoing transformative change, and that's what this is about. What's going to be different here is that the beginning and the middle, they disappear, and the end becomes a new beginning because we're creating things, and what once was will never be again, but it's going to be replaced by something much greater. So for me, yep, I'm going to use some strong words like objectives. I'm going to answer those questions, but this is not quantitative. I don't see this being something that we can measure by the numbers. And my vision of success for this podcast, it won't be determined by whether or not I go viral or when I reach a certain number of followers. Instead, success is measured by the impact made to people who listen, engage, and share in these meaningful conversations with me. I'm much more concerned with how this podcast makes people feel. Feelings. Feelings are important. Feelings unite us, and that's one of the very first things that I address on it's now or never. It's feelings. So this is a quantitative project only for the point of Facebook's going to measure any social platform is going to measure. We're going to know how many people tune in, but really this is about quality. It's qualitative. We're going to measure success by how people feel. And you're a part of that. Because this podcast, the point, we're going to explore the stories we hold as women that shape our identities and values and focus on our collective well being. It goes beyond the conventional ending of health and healing, acknowledging the stories of our traumas and the battles we fought, where sometimes our sole victory was survival. Yeah, and that's like tough to think about that, but sometimes just surviving was a big ass deal, and that's important. We're going to talk about that. And as women, we've experienced a lot, but you know it also highlights the blessings that we've experienced as well, our traumas, but we're going to talk about our blessings too, and how sometimes it's our blessings are overshadowed by the lessons we've learned, but those lessons were loud and they were impactful, and they were impactful for us, and they can be impactful for other people, which is why it's important to always tell our stories. I'm going to tell my stories, but also welcome other people's stories as well, so we'll be talking a whole lot about that. And our experience as women in general. As women, we often prioritize caring for others over our own dreams, our own ambitions, and with the same tenacity we give to our children's futures. You know, that's how we should be prioritizing ourselves. But from a young age, we're often taught to make sacrifices as part of life. When we embrace new roles as wives or mothers, it's often presented as this trade-off for independence. So you take on one thing, but you're giving away pieces of yourself rather than this expansion of our identities. For example, in marriage, the exchange of last names, it symbolizes a sacrifice of a portion of your identity to embrace another. I just talked about the self discovery I'm doing now to go back and rediscover what name I'm going to use because I adopted another name for a long time. And that gets tied to our identities. And now, what I'm not saying, that there's something inherently wrong, with taking a man's name. That's something that I did too in marriage. But there's a sacrifice here, whether voluntary or not. And it's often casually overlooked in society as a simple legal document. However, it's much, much more than that. It is indeed a sacrifice, and one that we're conditioned to make. As mothers, even, we stretch our bodies to new limits to grow and deliver a child, then instinctively love and protect them for the rest of our lives. And that alone, that is big. And while there are fathers and a father's love, a father's love holds deep value. But a father will never fully comprehend the unique bond between a mother and child, the beating heart within their body, and the journey that they'll share together. It's a completely different type of relationship and a completely different type of bond that's there. And women, we hold that. We hold space for all of these different identities. Motherhood is one of the greatest wonders of God, and the responsibility of motherhood is never truly finished. So women, we have this mighty, mighty God given innate strength. We're natural born fighters, visionaries, and leaders. We are the creators of life. However, this stage of our lives, it demands greater action, whether we knew that or not. Our bodies are under threat right now. Our communities are being targeted, our rights are being stripped away, and our history is being erased. So there's a whole lot that we've done, but we're called to do something more. And we can't force divine timing, but you can sense it. We can all sense divine timing. That's something that we have. And I'm gonna tell you now that when I say my time has arrived, it's because I can sense that. And what that means for me is that it's my turn to use my voice and talent to serve the people and communities that truly matter to me. I'll champion the causes that shape our lives and strive to create positive change. And so I'll achieve that through this very podcast. We talk about our objectives. Well, this is how all of that loops together in my life. It's that the things that I'm called to do. One of the ways that I'm going to make sure that I fulfill that is by using the instruments in front of me, and one of those is this podcast, but also by contributing my professional skills to organizations that embody the right mission and values that align with my beliefs. So I mentioned that I quit my job. I talked about that in the last podcast. And while I am on the search right now for a new job, so scout me if you hear me. Yes, my resume will be available, out there. But while I'm not just looking for something that I'm qualified to do, I'm looking for something that aligns with what I'm called to do and who I am and what matters. Because I want to come to work every day and I just feel good about what I'm doing. I want to feel good about who I'm I'm calling in greater wisdom, inner strength, clarity, deeper love, genuine laughter, and the blessings that come from embracing my divine feminine nature. It's my time to live authentically, just as I live for my daughter and the others in my life. But not only by achieving my personal goals, but also by advocating for myself, advocating for you, and for the future of our daughters. Divine Time asks, are you prepared to receive what you're calling in? Each of us should find a way to pursue our passions and fully embrace our power by showcasing our God given talents. Share what makes you unique with the world. And that can be scary, but there's nothing like being able to do that. Write a book, create a video, start a podcast, perform your original song, or post your art. And some of you may be wondering, what if I don't have a passion or purpose to ignite? Because we don't all dream of sharing ourselves with the world. We don't all dream of going viral. We don't even all dream of being on the internet. But and that's perfectly acceptable. But take some time to enjoy your hobbies and see where they lead you. Because sometimes we don't know what we're good at until we find out what it is that we love to do. So try it. Enroll in a dance class that you've been wanting to try. Sign up for a certification program or go back to school. Commit to taking regular nature walks. Do whatever makes you happy. That's the point. Is happiness. And in discovering purpose, because this is the passion meets purpose thing, start by considering what truly matters to you in life. Each of us has the opportunity to be the change we desire to see in society. Donate your time, talent, money, or even your clothes to a local charity or organization actively fighting for what's right. Above all, though, use your voice to make a difference. And there's so many ways to do that. You can go protest, you could write a letter, you can post on Facebook, you could you could literally do anything. You can make signs, put them in the yard, put them in your window, put them in your car. There's so many ways to use your voice to be heard and to speak up about the things that you believe in. Speak up for the people that you believe in. The point is, say something. We should all be saying something right now. There's never been a more crucial time for us to say something. And I admit, it's easy to feel intimidated by the challenges we face today. It is. If you turn on the news, you're going to be intimidated. If you turn on the news, you're going to be afraid. You're going to be overwhelmed. We're constantly being bombarded with media. But this week, media did something good. We witnessed the incredible power of one man. Cory Booker made history by delivering the longest speech ever on the Senate floor, where he was passionately advocating for the preservation of the rights and civil liberties of many people. That is a story worth talking about. That is an example of someone, one person using their voice and making a big difference, a difference so impactful. We all heard about it. It's so impactful. He made history. So remember, do whatever it is that brings you joy and fulfillment and treat it with the same respect you give your job. Don't wait. Take action now. As Senator Booker wisely said, this is not a left or right moment, it's a right or wrong moment. Happiness brings rewards that enrich our individual lives and it extends to those all around us. When we're happy, it's literally a ripple effect. Invest in yourself as your most precious possession, not as a precious possession. You are your most precious possession. And in your communities as our shared home. We all have a part to do. But until next time, I want you to take care and be well. But now, it's your turn. I'd love to hear from you. What are you calling in this year? How do you plan to keep it going? And how will you support others once you get it? And as always, have something to add to the conversation? Well, I'd love to know. So please feel free to share it with me. You can easily email me at theinhermindpodcast@gmail.com. You can keep up with the latest happenings, give feedback, ask questions, offer ideas for topics, or even share your interest in joining me for a future conversation by engaging with us via our social channels. Right now, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. Just look us up by name, the In Her Mind Podcast, and hit the like button and follow to stay connected. And of course, you can listen to new episodes of the podcast or replay your favorites, including this episode, via our YouTube channel, simply titled In Her Mind Podcast. Until next time, be well.